Hi guys, welcome to the Pinnacles in the Cervantes desert. We went on a family trip out there to watch the West Australian Symphony Orchestra. This is the picture that I actually took that I used for the artwork. So as usual, projected onto the canvas, just drawn a quick outline to get proportions right. You know, this one's particularly important because you've got very distinctive foreground, midground and background. It's always good opening a new bottle of Mod Podge because it gets pretty cluggy at the end. With collage, it's important to pick which piece of paper overlaps the other piece. So in this instance, it adds a 3D effect with the sky. So you're pushing the top of the sky back as you come down, and it's even more important when you get to the actual pinnacles because you want them to stand out, so they need to come forward, which means they need to be on top of the sky. I've slowed this next part down just purely because a lot of my time is taken up with marketing, I guess, or, you know, taking photos so that I can make videos like this or making reels. You know, it's not just creating art, being an artist. There's a whole other side to the business that really runs in the background. The other thing that takes up a lot of my time really is choosing colors, choosing textures, choosing patterns, and I can do a lot of time sitting in that chair looking at things and just trying to find the right pattern and the right texture for the right space. And like I said before, the background has to be behind the pinnacles, so I'm kind of finishing that off before I start actually making them on their own. So this is where I started the pinnacles, and I decided at this point, maybe a bit further on, to make them before I attach them to the canvas. Easiest thing I could really do when I was making the actual pinnacles was I basically chose 3 colors, maybe 4. You've got the actual background color, you've got the highlights, you've got the lowlights, and you know, depending on which side the light source was coming from, depicted on which paper I would use on which side. Focusing on actually attaching the pinnacles to the canvas and trying to make the background and everything overlap in the correct order. Here I'm just finishing off the last pinnacle and filling in the gaps in that mid-ground section, trying to make it, you know, make it presentable. So as we move into the sand, I'm just trying to make it look like the pinnacles are actually coming out of the sand, and sometimes that could mean that I've got to pull paper up very carefully and try and get the foreground underneath, or more likely just to add more layers. It looks like I'm really flying along here, and partially I am, and that's mostly due to prior preparation and planning and having the papers or the colours, if you like, in order from lightest to dark, so that I know based on the photo which papers are going where, and it just makes it so much more easier to work that way. How many times as a paper artist or someone that uses these knives, how often you have to change the blade, and most of the time I just take them out of the videos because, you know, you've seen one, you've seen them all. But I thought this time I'd add it in, slow it down so that you can actually see. But yeah, and you don't actually notice that the blade's faulty either because it just wears down over time. So when you put a new one on, you really notice the difference.